So who is this woman that was hanging out with all these biblical figures? The Jesus, the Moses, motherfucking aliens.
Aliens. Very mysterious creatures that we always theorize if they exist or not. Though they might actually exist in Mexico, apparently. But however, we know one thing. There's shitty archetype in a card game that aged like fine milk. Now you're probably wondering, LP Silver, what do you mean it aged like fine milk, and will I be able to find my father because of it? Well, I can't really answer that second part, but what I can explain for the first part is in a YouTube video, because what better way to do that? To begin with the monster lineup, we have Alien Ammonite. It's a level 1 reptile tuner monster with 500 attack and 200 defense with the following effect. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 lower alien monster from your graveyard, destroy it during the end phase. It's only useful for one thing and one thing only in this archetype, and it's for the synchro monster in the series. And literally the only synchro monster, and this is the only tuner. We'll get to that synchro monster a bit later, but yes, this is the point of Alien Omnimite, to synchro summon it into the synchro monster. Alien Dog is another light reptile monster that's level 3 and has 500 attack and 1000 defense with the effect. When you normal summon an alien monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. When you do, place 2 A counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls. This is where A counters come into play with this archetype. 2 of these common effects are usually taking your opponent's monster, or lowering the monster's attack by 300 when they're attacking an alien monster. Before we start continuing, I want to give a quick disclaimer. Some of these cards would usually have the same effect, where if a monster were to have an A counter on them, their attack would be down by 300 by each of them. The ones I am mainly talking about are the ones in parentheses. So if you hear me not say those effects out loud, it's not because I'm lazy, it's because I don't want to sound like a broken record. Either that or I'm gonna start feeling like I'm possessed by the aliens. Alien Grey is a flip effect monster with 300 attack and 800 defense with the effect. Place 1 A counter on one face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field. After this card has been flipped face up, when it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. Even though this is basically the Scalingo of this archetype, I wouldn't recommend playing this card. I know it has low stats for a reason due to it being a flip effect monster that's level 2, but it's not going to be stopped from being destroyed for just placing 1 counter on the opponent's monster. Alien Hunter is a water reptile monster that's level 4 with 1600 attack and 800 defense and has the following effect. If this card destroys a monster with an A counter by battle, he can attack once again in a row. Doesn't even synergize with the deck is synergizing with this card only, it's providing no support at all, and it has mediocre stats at best. Do I need to explain more? Here we have Alien Hypno, which is a Gemini. I don't care what everyone says, Gemini monsters are shit. I'm not spending my normal summon or anything. I don't care if Catalyst Field or Double Summon exists, I shouldn't have to play a spell card either for them to be useful. Alien Infiltrator is a level 2 monster with 800 attack and 500 defense. Once per turn, this card can move to an adjacent unoccupied monster zone. If no spell, trap, or monster card on your opponent's side of the field is in the same column as this card, it can attack your opponent directly. This is basically the same issue Alien Hunter has, only worse. It's searchable, yes, but it doesn't even synergize with the deck in the slightest this time. To make things worse, it came out in a pack called Cyberdark Impact where Konami tried to introduce the column mechanic into the game. And as we all know, it did not go well. Alien Kid is a monster with 1600 attack and 700 defense, and the effect reads: place 1 A counter on all monsters special summoned to your opponent's side of the field. So at max, it's only going to place 1 counter on each of your opponent's monsters, and it's going to do nothing else. Could you imagine your parents just give you a gun irresponsibly and you're still useless during the Nerf war? I'd be upset. Alien Mars is a fire attribute monster with 1000 attack and defense and has the effect: The effects of effect monsters with 8 counters are negated except for Alien Mars. It's a good effect, but it has very low stats. You could argue that the 8 counters would help with that, but putting counters on your opponent's monsters can be really slow with this archetype. Alien Mother is an effect monster that's level 6 and has 2300 attack and 1500 defense. Its effect reads, if this card destroys a monster with an 8 counter by battle and sends it to the graveyard, special summon a destroyed monster on your side of the field at the end of the battle phase. When this is removed from the field, all cards that were special summoned by this card's effect are destroyed. Only at the end of the battle phase? I'm sorry, but the cost when it leaves the field requires a bit too much setup to make sure it stays in the field. Unless you're, I don't know, link spamming in the main phase 2 with this monster, then more power to you. Alien Overlord is a monster that is level 6 with 2200 attack and 1600 defense, and it has the effect. You can remove 2 8 counters from anywhere on the field to special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can place 1 8 counter on each base-up monster your opponent controls. You can only control 1 Alien Overlord. The restriction to only having 1 of this card in the field is completely unreasonable, because you can run multiple copies of these in your deck and it would be nothing but a brick in your hand. Shame too, it has a really simple way of special summoning itself. Alien Psychic is a monster that's level 1 with 200 attack and 100 defense and has the effect. This card is changed defense position when it is normal summoned or flip summoned. Monsters with 8 counters cannot declare an attack. I don't really have much words for this card. It would be really good if it was for a higher level monster and not a level 1 of all things. Alien Shark Trooper is a normal monster with 1900 attack and 800 defense. 2 words. Outdated beater. Moving on. Alien Skull is a wind monster with 1600 attack and 1800 defense. You contribute 1 face-up level 3 or lower monster on your opponent's side of the field to special summon this card to your opponent's side of the field. If you special summon this monster this way, place 1 8 counter on this card, and you cannot normal summon or set the same turn. So it's basically a worse kaiju effect and the cost of your normal summon. Yay. Alien Stealth Buster is a monster with 1700 attack and 1500 defense, and it reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, place 2 8 counters on it. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster with an 8 counter on it, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Alien Stealth Buster once per turn. Okay, this is a pretty good card, but it just sits there with a kill me sign and nothing else. Alien Warrior is a monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. Once per turn, you can remove 1 8 counter from an opponent's monster to destroy 1 spell or trap card. The Alien Archetype doesn't really have that much back row removal, so I suggest running this if you're insane enough to run an Alien Archetype deck in the first place. Alien Warrior is a monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, place 2 8 counters on the monster that destroyed it. This is just a main with Eyes of Blue situation until your opponent has an actual card to remove this. Trust me, your opponent is not going to be stupid enough to attack into it. Cosmic Horror Gangiel. How the f you want to pronounce that one? It's a level 7 monster with 2600 attack and 2000 defense. If you're attributing a monster on your side of the field that is owned by your opponent, this card can be normal summoned with 1 tribute. Once per turn, you can place 1 8 counter on a monster on your opponent's side of the field. This requires too much setup, and in my opinion needs an effect where it can special summon itself. Also, not searchable. Flying Saucer, I'm not pronouncing that, it's a level 5 monster with 1000 attack and 2000 defense, and has the effect. While this card is face up on the field, you can select and add 1 alien monster from your deck to your hand instead of conducting your normal draw during your draw phase. I appreciate the searching and the cost of the regular draw, but I can't take this card seriously when it means not only a tribute, but it can't even search itself. Was it that hard not to call it Alien Spaceship instead? Invasive Alien Species is a level 4 monster with 1600 attack and no defense, and it reads, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while your opponent has a face-up card in their field zone. You can only use each of the following effects of alien invasive species once per turn. If your opponent has a face-up card in their field zone, you can target 1 monster they control, destroy it, and if you do, this card gains 1000 attack. If your opponent has a face-up card in their field zone while this is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Well, it tries to be versatile as level 4, but at the same time, Konami doesn't want this card to be overpowered. So if your opponent doesn't even have a field spell in the first place, you literally only have a 1600 beater that's vanilla. Moving on to spells, we have A-Cell Breeding Device. It's a continuous spell card and it reads, during each of your standby phases, put 1 A counter on one face-up monster your opponent controls. It's probably the most generic way you're ever going to put A counters on your opponent, so I suggest running this. A Cell Recombination Device is a quickly spell card and it reads, target one face-up monster on the field, send 1 alien monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, place 8 counters on that monster equal to the level of that said monster. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 alien monster from your deck to your hand. If this was to spread counters all over your opponent's side of the field except for 1 monster, I'd say this is a decent card. And the max A counters you're only gonna have to put on 1 monster is 6 because the level 7 monster is even searchable. A Cell Scatterverse is a quickly spell card and the effect reads, select 1 face-up alien monster you control, destroy it, and distribute new A counters equal to its level among your opponent's face-up monsters. I mean, it's an okay card, not really good if you only have 1 monster and try to affect your opponent with A counters. Is it me, or does the back row spread more A counters than the monsters do? Code A Ancient Ruins, I'm surprised the A isn't quoted, is a continuous spell card that reads, each time a face-up alien monster you control is destroyed, place 1 A counter on this card. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anyone on the field to special summon 1 alien monster from your graveyard. It has a very slow revival effect requiring 2 monsters to be destroyed for 1 monster to be revived, so it's not really good early game. The reason why I say this isn't good early game is because not many alien monsters know how to special summon. Mysterious Triangle is a quick play spell card with the effect, destroy 1 monster on the field with an A counter, then you can special summon 1 level 4 alien monster from your deck, destroy it during the end phase. I suppose this is also for the Synchro monster by the time this card released. I mean, hey, it doesn't target or destroy a monster, so that's always a plus. Otherworld, the A Zone, is a field spell that reads, if your opponent battles an alien monster you control, the opponent loses 300 attack during damage calculation only. In summary, it's just 1 A counter on the field zone. Also, was that fucking Neospace in the background? What the hell did Neos do? Now getting to the trap cards, we have Alien Brain. When a reptile monster you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, take control of the opponent's monster, and if you do, it becomes a reptile type. That's right, doesn't need A counters or anything, it just takes the monster, no questions asked, and makes it a reptile for some reason, which I don't see the point in that, but pretty good still. Crop Circle is a normal trap that reads, send any number of monsters from your side of the field to the graveyard to activate this card. Select from your deck 1 alien monster whose levels is equal to the total levels of the sent monsters and special summon it. If you fail to find a monster to special summon, you take 2000 damage. Okay, simple, just don't be stupid. Though either way, playing this card would also be stupid because it needs more setup to summon the higher level monsters. And the fact that it's a trap card makes this really slow to play. Mass Hypnosis is a continuous trap card that reads, activate only while you control an alien monster. Select and take control up to 3 of your opponent's monsters that each have an E counter on them. This card is destroyed during the end phase of this turn it is activated. Thank God it is up to 3 and not strictly 3, because if that were the case, you would only play 1 of this card. Though to get to the point though, it's sad that it only lasts 1 turn due to it destroying itself. If you're going to take your opponent's monsters with this card, you best not miss. Orbital Bombardment is a normal trap that reads, send 1 alien monster from your side of the field to the graveyard to activate this card. Destroy 1 spell or trap card on the field. Cool, a crappy MST because it was limited at the time. Thanks, I hate it. Planet Pollutant Virus is another normal trap that reads, tribute 1 alien monster, destroy all face-up monsters without A counters your opponent controls. Until the end of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation, place 1 A counter on each monster they summon. This card completely misses the point of what the alien archetype does, and just destroys the monsters without the A counters for some reason. And out of all the slow cards this archetype has, it's this one. At most, he'll be activating on your opponent's turn, waiting for it to get negated, and it takes 3 turns to even activate its good effect. Wouldn't recommend playing this card, or if you're mad enough, play it at 1. Cosmic Fortress Galgar is a synchro monster that's 2600 attack and 1800 defense that's level 5. It requires Alien Ammonite 9 and one or more non-tuner alien monsters. Once per turn, you can select any number of face-up spell or trap cards. Return those cards to their owner's hands and distribute new A counters among monsters on the field equal to the number of cards returned. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to destroy one card your opponent controls. This one's probably the best alien card you're ever gonna see. It has a pretty good effect with not only allowing you to self-bounce, but bounce your opponent back too. It spreads more counters a lot more easier, and it provides non-targeting destruction, so this is a must card if you're playing alien decks. Remember the vanilla monster? Yeah, it's a Link monster now. Alien Shark Trooper M-Frame is a Link 2 monster with 1900 attack and requires 2 reptiles. It has this effect. You can discard one monster, place A counters equal to the level on face-up monsters on the field, distribute as you wish. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon non-Link reptile monsters with different names from your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls with A counters. You can only activate each effective Alien Shock Trooper end-frame once per turn. Well, if you manage to get enough monsters with A counters on the field, you can Link spam, if that's what you prefer. This was the more recent alien support, so I do suggest bringing this card if you still want to bring out more A counters and if you're a madman playing aliens. This archetype, as I mentioned before, raged really badly, and the only thing remotely as good is the spell cards in this game. They don't even synergize with each other either, so some of them aren't even searchable and some of them are. For the score, I will give it a generous 4 out of 10 for at least the non-targeting. I'm OP Sober, and signing off.